They say time waits for no one. But what if skipping a few meals could slow it down? Welcome to Elder Secrets, where science meets timeless wisdom. In today's episode, How Fasting Affects Aging, we uncover the powerful biological shifts triggered when you stop eating, and how they might just help you stay younger longer. Let's dive into the secrets your body's been holding all along.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a plunge into a topic that, well, often brings up images of extreme diets for many people, maybe even starvation. But we want to completely reframe that idea today. We're talking about fasting, not as some, fleeting modern fad, but as a deeply scientific, actually highly researched approach to health and longevity. I mean, it's been studied in everything from tiny yeast cells all the way up to primates, and it reveals effects that seem truly fundamental to life itself.
And that's exactly right. While the word fasting might conjure up those misconceptions, the science reveals something incredibly profound, a really pervasive impact on the human body. So instead of thinking deprivation, think of it more like accessing a master key, a key that unlocks multiple pathways to healthier aging. It influences everything from how your genes are expressed to how your cells repair themselves, how your metabolism functions, how your brain works, even how your immune system can rebuild itself. So our mission in this deep dive is really to separate the science from the hype. We want to give you a comprehensive understanding so you can make truly informed decisions about your own health.
Okay, so if you're curious about how strategically incorporating periods of not eating could, well, help you age better and live more vibrantly, then let's begin. We often think of fasting as, a new trend, but the truth is, it seems it's woven into our very history, shaping human biology for millennia. So what does the past tell us? How did our ancestors actually eat?
Yeah, that's a fundamental starting point, really. Dr. Mark Mattson, who's a leading researcher here, he frequently points out that our current pattern, 3 meals a day plus snacks, that's a very, very recent invention in human history. For the vast majority of our evolutionary past, humans ate irregularly. They'd feast when food was available, and they'd fast when it was scarce. And our bodies didn't just survive this, they actually evolved to, well, thrive in these conditions. We even see this reflected in ancient wisdom. Physicians like Hippocrates, the father of medicine, he prescribed fasting for various ailments, he observed quicker recovery. Plato wrote about fasting to enhance mental clarity. And there are historical accounts, noting that ancient Greek and Roman soldiers actually felt improved mental sharpness, even physical performance, when fasting or on reduced rations. It was just an intuitive practice, really, long before science came along to confirm the benefits.
Right, so it's this ancient practice that in some ways we've kind of drifted away from. But when did scientists really start to investigate this systematically with, the rigor we expect from modern research?
Well, the scientific breakthroughs really kicked off, I'd say, in the 1930s. That's when Dr. Clive McKay at Cornell University made a really foundational discovery. He found that calorie-restricted rats lived significantly longer than rats that were fed continuously. That was a huge aha moment, Then, maybe the 1990s, 2000s, we saw an explosion in research. Scientists began to understand something called adaptive stress responses. The core idea here is that mild intermittent stress, like the kind induced by fasting, doesn't harm the organism. Instead, it triggers these powerful biological programs that actually make cells and the whole organism stronger and more resilient. And what's truly fascinating, really, is that these adaptive responses, they're conserved across species. Yeah. That means the same basic mechanisms that help a simple yeast cell survive starvation. They also help human cells resist aging. It points to this deep, fundamental biological wisdom coded right inside us.
Okay, so it's less about inventing something new and more about rediscovering and maybe strategically applying this ancient pattern, a pattern our bodies are already designed for. So the real question for you listening then is, how can we intelligently use this profound ancient practice for modern health, for anti-aging? Now let's zoom in right down to the core of aging, ourselves. We know aging isn't just the calendar turning, it's a process of accumulating damage, right? So what does this mean for ourselves? And how does fasting actually step in here?
That's exactly right. Think of aging as this buildup of wear and tear, but at the cellular level. Researchers like Dr. Carlos Lopez-Otin and his colleagues, they've identified what they call the hallmarks of aging. These are like 9 fundamental processes that eventually break down over time, contributing to how we age. And what's truly remarkable, really, is that fasting appears to positively influence, well, virtually all of them. Let's take a couple of examples. One hallmark is genomic instability. That's basically when our DNA, the blueprint of our cells, accumulates damage as we age. And our repair systems, they get kind of sluggish. Fasting actually activates these DNA repair pathways. It effectively gives our cellular maintenance crews a much-needed boost. Dr. Valter Longo sometimes describes this as cells entering a kind of maintenance mode during fasting, like a city at night, The usual hustle stops and the cleaners and repair crews come out to restore everything. Then there are these cellular senescent cells. You might have heard them called zombie cells.
Right, the zombie cell.
Yeah, dramatic name. But they're basically cells that have stopped dividing, but they refuse to die. Instead, they just hang around, secreting these inflammatory compounds that harm the healthy cells nearby. Fasting helps clear these out through a process called autophagy.
Autophagy.
Which literally means self-eating. Think of it like a cellular spring cleaning service. It breaks down and recycles these damaged or problematic components. And some pioneering work, including research inspired by Dr. Shinya Yamanaka on cellular reprogramming, it really hints at how profoundly fasting might trigger similar pathways, potentially reversing some aspects of cellular aging. And it doesn't stop there. Our mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses in our cells, they become less efficient as we age. Fasting stimulates the production of new mitochondria, that's mitochondrial biogenesis, and it clears out the old dysfunctional ones through a related process called mitophagy. This is absolutely vital for keeping robust energy production going. Fasting also has these powerful anti-inflammatory effects, directly combating that chronic low-grade inflammation often called inflammaging by reducing markers like C-reactive protein. And finally, our immune system also ages. That's immunosenescence. It makes us more vulnerable. But here, fasting appears to, well, rejuvenate it. It triggers the production of new, more vigorous immune cells from stem cells when you start eating again. Dr. Longo has even called this an immune system reboot, giving you a younger, more effective defense system.
Wow. It's just astounding to hear how interconnected all these cellular changes are. And it explains why fasting seems to have such broad systemic effects. As you're listening to this, what part of this incredible cellular symphony really stands out to you? Okay, building on that cellular story, let's dive deeper into autophagy. You mentioned it's self-eating. This process is so significant, it actually earned Dr. Yoshinori Ohsumi the 2016 Nobel Prize. So this is where it gets really interesting. What exactly is this process?
Yeah, as you said, it's fundamentally cellular renewal. Think of autophagy as your body's highly efficient built-in recycling and waste management system. It's not just random destruction, though. It's a very organized process of internal rejuvenation. So when your cells sense low nutrient levels, like during a fast, special stress sensors activate. These trigger the formation of these double-membraned sacs. They're called apophagosomes. And these sacs then engulf damaged components inside the cell. Could be misfolded proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, or whatever needs clearing out. Then these sacs fuse with lysosomes.
Lysosomes, okay.
Which are like tiny digestive vats filled with enzymes. The captured material gets broken down into its basic building blocks, and the cell can then reuse those blocks to build new, healthy components. It's incredibly efficient. And what's remarkable is its selectivity. It's not just a general cleanup. Cells actively target specific damaged proteins and organelles for this recycling. Dr. Ana Maria Cuervo's work, for example, has highlighted how specific proteins can even guide damaged components directly to the lysosomes. It shows this remarkable precision in the process. This process also naturally follows our circadian rhythms. It actually peaks when we naturally fast, like overnight while we sleep. Dr. Sachin Panna's research has powerfully shown that disrupting these natural fasting periods, eating late at night, constantly snacking, that can actually interfere with optimal autophagy. Now, for the brain, autophagy is especially vital. Why? Because neurons don't divide like other cells.
Right, they stick around.
Exactly. So clearing out damaged proteins is absolutely paramount for their long-term health. Dr. Ralph Nixon's research has linked autophagy defects to basically all major neurodegenerative diseases. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Fasting-induced autophagy helps clear the protein that aggregates those clumps that often characterize these conditions, and it benefits more than just the brain. Research by Dr. Roberta Gottlieb shows autophagy in heart cells helps maintain cardiac function. In muscle tissue, it aids what's called muscle remodeling by clearing damaged proteins, improving muscle quality. For the liver, Dr. Rajat Singh's work indicates enhanced autophagy helps clear out fat deposits and toxins, maintaining metabolic health. Now, while certain compounds like spermidine or resveratrol might also stimulate autophagy a bit, the research is pretty clear. The most potent, the most reliable way to really robustly stimulate this critical process, it remains strategic fasting.
So it's a completely natural process.
Yeah.
Our bodies are designed to do this.
Right.
And by strategically fasting, we're just creating the ideal conditions, letting our internal renovation crew work optimally. That's a truly powerful mechanism.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Let's talk about how fasting actually resets our metabolism. Many of us, maybe without even realizing it, are dealing with something called metabolic inflexibility.
Mhm.
How does fasting address this pretty fundamental issue?
Yeah, metabolic inflexibility. Dr. Benjamin Bickman describes it really well. It's primarily this reliance on glucose for fuel. Your body basically loses its efficient ability to switch over and burn fat effectively. Fasting triggers this predictable and quite profound sequence of metabolic changes that restore this crucial flexibility. Initially, your body uses its stored glucose, that's glycogen, for maybe 12 to 16 hours. Once those stores run low, your body fundamentally switches gears. It starts breaking down fat and producing compounds called ketones.
And here's where it gets really profound. Pioneering research, including from Dr. Eric Verdin, has shown that ketones, especially one called beta-hydroxybutyrate, they're far more than just an alternative fuel. They're powerful signaling molecules. Their very presence tells your cells, hey, nutrients are scarce. And this prompts them to shift into a more resilient, more maintenance-focused mode. This actually influences gene expression related to longevity and resilience. Plus, researchers like Dr. Sameland have explained that ketone metabolism makes your mitochondria significantly more efficient. They produce fewer damaging reactive oxygen species. It's almost like switching your body's engine from a standard, somewhat inefficient fuel to a high-octane, super clean alternative. And this process also stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria, as Dr. Rhonda Patrick's work has shown. Another critical effect is on insulin sensitivity. In our modern world, where we're often eating constantly, our cells get bombarded by insulin. Fasting gives them a much-needed break from this constant exposure, and that allows their sensitivity to insulin to be restored. Dr. Jason Fung often talks about this as resting the insulin system.
Resting the system, I like that.
Yeah, and that impacts everything: fat storage, inflammation, even brain function. And interestingly, during fasting, growth hormone production can increase dramatically, sometimes up to 5-fold, based on work by Dr. Hartmut Jaris. This is crucial for maintaining muscle, bone, and tissue repair. Finally, fasting introduces a mild, beneficial stress. We call this hormesis. Much like exercise, this good stress triggers adaptive responses, making your cells stronger and more resilient overall. That's a concept powerfully championed by Dr. Mark Mattson. And what's even better is that these improvements in insulin sensitivity, metabolic flexibility, they can actually persist even during your eating days. Dr. Christovardi's research highlights this, leading to lasting changes. And for your brain, as we touched on, ketones provide super efficient fuel and stimulate BDNF, supporting neuron growth and protection.
So it's not just a temporary fuel switch. It sounds like a complete metabolic reprogramming. It really makes you consider, doesn't it, how improving your metabolic flexibility might profoundly impact your daily energy, your mental clarity, and your overall long-term health. Okay, from the cellular engine, let's move to the endocrine system, our hormones. It's really fascinating how the hormonal shifts during fasting aren't random, but seem like these precisely orchestrated responses.
They absolutely are. It's quite remarkable. Research from scientists like Dr. Christovardi has extensively mapped these intricate changes. The drop in insulin levels during fasting is probably paramount. It's often called an aging hormone by researchers like Dr. David Sinclair because chronically elevated insulin can accelerate aging. Fasting brings insulin down to its lowest point, resetting sensitivity and profoundly influencing longevity pathways. And as we touched on earlier, growth hormone dramatically increases. Dr. Hartmut Jaris and Dr. Thierry Hartohe have shown boosts of up to 5-fold. This is vital for preserving muscle mass, burning fat, and supporting tissue repair throughout the body. Cortisol, while known as a stress hormone, is also regulated by fasting. It helps restore healthy circadian patterns, according to Dr. Sachin Panda. But it's important to note, excessive or inappropriate fasting can lead to chronic elevation, which is definitely counterproductive.
Right, balance is key there.
Exactly. Thyroid hormones might temporarily decrease during a fast. This is seen as a clever mechanism for energy conservation and reset, as Dr. Amy Berger suggests. Sex hormones have complex effects. Short-term fasting might increase testosterone in men, for instance. However, for women, as Dr. Stephanie Estima really points out, their hormonal systems are particularly sensitive to energy availability, so they need more careful consideration of fasting duration and frequency. Leptin and ghrelin are key satiety and hunger hormones. They also respond. While fasting drops leptin, regular practice can actually improve leptin sensitivity and regulate ghrelin better, as Dr. Ruth Patterson has observed. Another beneficial hormone, adiponectin, which is linked to anti-inflammatory and insulin-sensitizing effects, also tends to increase. That's supported by Dr. Christoph Buettner's work. And of course, BDNF, which we discussed for the brain, acts like a hormone for brain health and is significantly increased. Even melatonin production, crucial for sleep, seems to be optimized by consistent eating and fasting schedules, as Dr. Russell Reiter's research confirms.
It really is like a precisely orchestrated symphony, isn't it? All these hormones working together in harmony. It just highlights the need for consistency and finding the right protocol for you, rather than just random, maybe disconnected efforts. Okay, now this next segment focuses on what I think is one of the most remarkable, maybe even surprising, discoveries in fasting research: its ability to literally rejuvenate the immune system. When we think of aging, we don't always think about our immune system getting old too. So does it? And how does fasting help?
It absolutely does get old, and it's a critical aspect of aging. The immune system undergoes this process called immunosenescence. Basically, it becomes less effective and more prone to dysfunction as we age. But Dr. Volterlongo's groundbreaking research has shown that cycles of fasting can essentially reboot it. The mechanism is fascinating. During fasting, especially longer fasts, immune cell populations temporarily drop. But here's the key part. Upon refeeding, your body is triggered to produce new immune cells from powerful stem cell populations.
Wow, from stem cells.
Yes. It's truly like trading in an old, worn-out computer for a new, high-performance model. Or, as Dr. Cheng Wei describes it, like pruning a garden. You remove the old, weak growth, and that allows new, healthy growth to flourish. So this reboot means fasting reduces the number of older, dysfunctional white blood cells, and that makes way for the production of new, more vigorous cells when you start eating again. The adaptive immune system, with its crucial T cells and G cells, sees improved function, as Dr. Jenko Nikolic has shown. And importantly, regulatory T cells, which help prevent autoimmune reactions, seem to be preserved. The innate immune system also benefits. Natural killer, or NK, cells, which are crucial for fighting cancer and viral infections, they become more active, according to Dr. Emily Ho. Macrophages, the immune system's cleanup crew, become more efficient. Even the gut immune system's delicate balance seems to be reset, reducing inflammation, a finding from Dr. Yasmin Belkade. And fasting's powerful anti-inflammatory effects against that inflammaging can persist for weeks after a fast, as Dr. Longo has found. Furthermore, some research suggests fasting might even partially reverse thymic involution.
Thymic involution. What's that?
That's the age-related shrinkage of the thymus gland. It's a vital organ for T-cell maturation. So reversing that, even partially, could lead to the production of more new T-cells. And this rejuvenated immune system may also become significantly more effective at cancer surveillance, better at detecting and eliminating abnormal cells before they become a real problem.
That is truly profound, this idea that you can proactively regenerate your body's fundamental defenses. But, like you mentioned with hormones, this sounds like something that needs to be done carefully. The protocol is really important here, right? Can too much fasting actually suppress the immune system instead of boosting it?
That's a crucial point, yes. And it highlights the importance of moderation and the right protocol. Generally, moderate intermittent fasting enhances immune function and promotes that regeneration. However, very long or very frequent extended fasts, especially without careful refeeding cycles, could potentially suppress it temporarily. The key is finding that sweet spot, the balance and duration, to trigger the beneficial regeneration without overstressing the system.
Okay, let's talk about the brain. It's one of the most metabolically active organs in your body, just buzzing with activity all the time. How does strategic fasting specifically protect and even enhance our cognitive function as we age? It almost sounds like, well, miracle grow for your mind.
It's an incredibly exciting area, definitely. And pioneering research, particularly from Dr. Mark Mattson, has revealed some profound changes in the brain during fasting. First, there's that metabolic switch we talked about. The brain typically runs on glucose, but during fasting, it shifts to using more efficient ketones. Research by Dr. Kieran Clark suggests ketones provide about 25% more energy per unit of oxygen compared to glucose. And this often leads to that feeling of improved mental clarity and sharper focus that many people report.
That clarity effect, yeah.
Exactly. But beyond just being fuel, fasting dramatically increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as, well, fertilizer for brain cells.
Fertilizer.
Yeah. Studies, including by Dr. Carl Kottman, show levels can increase by 200–300% during fasting. This promotes the growth of new neurons, enhances synaptic plasticity, that's the ability of brain connections to strengthen or weaken, and it protects existing neurons. This is absolutely crucial for learning, memory, and resisting age-related cognitive decline. Fasting also promotes neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, the actual birth of new neurons, particularly in the hippocampus, which is a key memory region, as shown by Dr. Sandrine Thurau. This helps protect against age-related brain shrinkage, and that autophagy process we discussed earlier, it's vital in the brain too. It helps clear those protein aggregates linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, as Dr. Ralph Nixon's work highlights. The brain's own waste clearance system, the glymphatic system, is actually more active during sleep and fasting, further aiding this cleanup, a discovery by Dr. Macon Niedergard. Furthermore, fasting reduces neuroinflammation by calming down microglial activation. That's an insight from Dr. Morgan Levine. It also helps maintain the integrity of the crucial blood-brain barrier, as Dr. Borislav Zlokovich research suggests. And people often report enhanced cognitive flexibility and working memory. Studies by Dr. Ruth Barrientos and Dr. Martin Selinsky show improved performance on tests. Finally, remember hormesis. Fasting acts as that beneficial stress, making the brain more resilient, a cornerstone of Dr. Mattson's work. It can also improve sleep quality through time-restricted eating, which aids memory consolidation, as highlighted by Dr. Sachin Panda. And anecdotally, and in some studies like those by Dr. Krista Varadi, improved mood stability and reduced anxiety are reported. Maybe that explains why so many historical figures linked fasting to creative breakthroughs.
So it seems it's not just about surviving without food for a bit. Fasting actually creates a brain environment that's profoundly ready to learn, adapt, and build resilience. The benefits sound cumulative too, and probably enhanced when combined with other brain-healthy activities. It's a truly powerful tool for cognitive vitality. Okay, we've covered a lot of the deep science, which is fascinating. But for you listening, the practical question is always, okay, how do I actually do this? There are so many different fasting approaches out there now. How do we navigate all these protocols? Is there like a one-size-fits-all solution?
That's the critical next step, absolutely. And Dr. Valter Longo, a real pioneer here, emphasizes this directly. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all. The optimal protocol depends entirely on your age, your current health status, your lifestyle, and importantly, your specific goals. Let's try to break down the main types people hear about. Time-restricted eating, or TRE, sometimes called intermittent fasting, is probably the most accessible. Even a simple 12-hour eating window, like stopping eating after dinner, say 7 p.m., and not eating again until 7 a.m. breakfast. Even that offers metabolic benefits, according to Dr. Sachin Panda. For women, Dr. Krista Varadi's research suggests maybe a 14.10 window. That's a 10-hour eating window. 14-hour fast might be particularly beneficial due to hormonal sensitivities.
Oh, okay.
Then there's the 16.8 protocol. That's a 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. This is probably the most widely studied. Especially effective maybe when eating earlier in the day, as Dr. Courtney Peterson has shown. You can get more profound adaptations from 18.6 or even 20.4.
That's getting quite restrictive.
It is. And as Dr. Jason Fung notes, these are definitely more challenging and certainly not for everyone to start with. Then you move into things like alternate day fasting. That's alternating very low calorie days, maybe 500, 600 calories with normal eating days. Dr. Krista Varadi has researched this extensively. The 5.2 protocol, popularized by Dr. Michael Mosley, is similar: 2 non-consecutive low-calorie days per week. For deeper regeneration, some people consider extended fasting, meaning 48 hours, 72 hours, or even longer. But this absolutely requires medical supervision, as Dr. Valter Longo always stresses.
Right. That's not something to just try on your own.
Definitely not. He also developed the Fasting Mimicking Diet, FMD. That's a specific 5-day, plant-based, low-calorie plan designed to offer many fasting benefits with a bit less restriction than a full water fast. Dry fasting, abstaining from both food and water, is generally not recommended due to the serious risks of dehydration. And of course, we have religious and seasonal fasts, which are historically important, but their specific scientific rigor for health outcomes can vary.
Okay, that's a lot of options. So it really sounds like the key takeaways here are personalization and sustainability. Can you elaborate a bit more on the specific things people should keep in mind when choosing an approach that might work for them?
Absolutely. Age is a big one. Older adults, for instance, might do better with more moderate approaches, like a 12 or 14-hour TRE, as suggested by Dr. Luigi Fontana. Sex, as we mentioned, is crucial. Women's hormonal systems are generally more sensitive to energy availability, so they need to pay close attention to their cycles, energy levels, sleep, if all. Dr. Stephanie Estima highlights this frequently. If you have any medical conditions, it is absolutely critical to work with a healthcare provider who is knowledgeable about fasting. That's a point Dr. Jason Fung constantly reinforces. And ultimately, maybe the most important thing, the best fasting protocol is one you can maintain consistently over time, because that consistency is really what yields the long-term benefits. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency.
That leads perfectly into this next point, which feels like a really critical insight. When you fast might be just as important as how long you fast. It sounds like it's all about aligning with your body's natural circadian rhythms.
That's exactly right. And a huge amount of this understanding comes from the pioneering work of Dr. Sachin Panda. Our bodies operate on these complex internal clocks. There's a master clock in the brain and the hypothalamus, and then peripheral clocks in individual organs like the liver, muscles, gut. And these clocks are profoundly influenced by when we eat. Circadian misalignment, which happens easily with things like late-night snacking, shift work, jet lag, sends conflicting signals to these internal clocks. And this misalignment is strongly linked to accelerated aging and a whole host of metabolic issues. Dr. Panda's research, especially in mice, compellingly showed that simply restricting eating to daylight hours, even if they didn't change what or how much they ate, just the timing, that alone provided significant health benefits. This daylight eating aligns with our natural insulin sensitivity.
Which is higher in the morning.
Exactly. It's highest in the morning and then declines throughout the day. So eating earlier and extending that overnight fast, as Dr. Courtney Peterson has found, also aligns better with natural liver function rhythms, according to Dr. Joseph Bass. Even that crucial cellular cleaning process, autophagy, follows these circadian rhythms. It naturally peaks overnight. Eating late at night can actually suppress this natural autophagy peak, as Dr. Takahiko Shimizu noted. Similarly, eating close to bedtime can suppress melatonin production vital for restorative sleep, according to Dr. Russell Reiter, and it can disrupt natural growth hormone release and cortisol rhythms. Now, individual chronotypes, morning larks versus night owls, might influence the optimal window slightly, but the general rule, the strong recommendation, is still to avoid eating for about 3-4 hours before bed. Of course, practical challenges exist. Shift workers, travel, it's tough. But the goal is always to find as much consistency as possible within your life.
So it really sounds like consistency and timing might actually be more important than striving for, say, the absolute longest fast duration. Even small adjustments, maybe just shifting your dinner an hour earlier consistently, could make a meaningful difference over time. Okay, while everything we've discussed really highlights the profound power and potential benefits of fasting, it is absolutely crucial to emphasize safety. Fasting is powerful, yes, but it is definitely not for everyone. So for everyone listening who should absolutely not be fasting, or who needs to be extremely careful and definitely consult a professional first.
This is a vital conversation, absolutely. And Dr. Jason Fung consistently emphasizes caution and the need for medical supervision in many cases. First, pregnancy and breastfeeding are clear contraindications. The nutritional needs are significantly increased, and fasting could potentially harm both mother and child, as Dr. Emily Okun has shown. Children and adolescents should also avoid fasting. Their high energy and nutrient needs are critical for healthy growth and development, a point strongly made by Dr. David Ludwig. Individuals with a history of eating disorders or any kind of disordered eating pattern are at a very high risk of relapse. Professional mental health guidance is absolutely crucial before even considering fasting, according to Dr. Evelyn Attia.
It's a really important one.
Absolutely critical. Type 1 diabetes is generally considered a significant contraindication due to the risk of dangerous blood sugar swings. It requires very careful coordination with an experienced physician, as Dr. Earl Hirsch states. Now, for those with type 2 diabetes who are on medication, medical supervision is essential because of the risk of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. Though it's worth noting, with proper monitoring and medication adjustments, many people with type 2 can actually benefit significantly from certain fasting protocols, as Dr. Fung often discusses. Anyone on medications really should always consult their healthcare provider. Same blood pressure meds, other drugs. They can be affected by fasting, or they might need to be taken with food. You just have to check. People with significant kidney or liver disease need caution or may need to avoid fasting altogether, depending on the severity. Research from Dr. Thomas Wimes and Dr. Rohit Lumba indicates potential risks there. Heart disease, especially conditions involving arrhythmias, also warrants a consultation with a cardiologist, as Dr. James O'Keefe advises. Elderly individuals should generally prefer more moderate approaches. They can be more sensitive to physiological stress, a finding from Dr. Luigi Fontana. Certain mental health conditions, like severe anxiety or depression, can sometimes be worsened by fasting in some individuals, as Dr. Eva Detko has noted. Autoimmune conditions are complex. Some people might benefit, some might worsen. Medical supervision is crucial here. Dr. Walter Longo sometimes suggests the fasting mimicking diet for specific autoimmune cases, but under guidance. Bone health could be a long-term concern with very prolonged or frequent fasting, so ensuring adequate nutrient intake, especially calcium and vitamin D, is key, says Dr. Connie Weaver. Gallbladder disease might also be worsened by prolonged fasting. Athletes involved in intense training need to be cautious about how fasting impacts performance and recovery, according to Dr. Louise Burke. And as we've discussed multiple times, women's hormonal systems are more sensitive to energy availability. They really need moderation and careful attention to their menstrual cycles and overall well-being, as Dr. Stephanie Estima emphasizes.
Wow, that is an exhaustive and incredibly important list. Thank you. The core message here seems crystal clear. Listen intently to your body, always start mild, and if you have any doubts or underlying conditions, consult a healthcare provider who is knowledgeable about fasting. Safety first, always. Okay, so for those who are ready to cautiously explore fasting, maybe they've checked with their doctor. Dr. Jason Fung often says the biggest mistake is doing too much too quickly. So what's a safe step-by-step guide for someone looking to maybe incorporate strategic fasting for longevity and overall health? How did they start?
Yeah, a gradual, thoughtful approach is absolutely the key for success and, importantly, for sustainability. First, maybe start with a self-assessment. Before even jumping into fasting, focus on improving your overall diet quality. Are you eating whole foods? Are you establishing regular, consistent eating patterns already? That's foundational. Then begin with a gentle introduction. Like we mentioned, maybe just a 12-hour eating window. Many people already do this naturally, finish dinner by 7 p.m., breakfast at 7 a.m. Dr. Christopher Addy points out this is a great starting point. During your eating periods, diet quality is absolutely crucial. Focus on nutrient-dense, whole foods. Make sure you're getting all the necessary vitamins, minerals, protein, healthy fats. Dr. Mark Mattson emphasizes this. Hydration is vital during the fasts themselves. Plain water, herbal teas, black coffee are generally fine. For longer fasts, paying attention to electrolyte balance, sodium, potassium, magnesium becomes important, notes Dr. Stephen Finney. Expect an adaptation period, maybe 1 to 2 rests. You might experience some initial hunger, maybe some irritability or fatigue as your body learns to efficiently switch to burning stored energy. These symptoms typically resolve as your body adapts, according to Dr. Dominic D'Agostino. Just be patient.
Patience is key.
Definitely. Once you're comfortable, progress gradually. If it feels good and you tolerate it well, maybe slowly reduce your eating window to 10 hours or even 8 hours over time. Try to align your eating window with your circadian rhythms. Dr. Courtney Peterson suggests eating earlier in the day, finishing your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. That seems to optimize natural metabolic processes. Light to moderate exercise is generally well tolerated during fasting. High-intensity exercise might be challenging initially, as Dr. Peter Attia notes, so listen to your body. Sleep quality often improves with regular fasting. But if severe hunger is consistently preventing sleep, it might mean your eating window is too restrictive for your current needs or adaptation level. Monitor yourself carefully. Track your energy levels, your mood, sleep quality, physical performance, any symptoms. For women, monitoring menstrual regularity is important. Blood sugar monitoring, maybe with a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, can be very insightful, as Dr. David Ledwig advises. Plan for social considerations. Communicate with family and friends. Maybe align your eating windows with social meals when possible. When breaking longer fasts, say, over 24 hours, do so gently. Easily digestible foods like bone broth, cooked vegetables are good choices. A recommendation from Dr. Walter Longo. Don't just jump into a huge meal.
Right, ease back into it.
Exactly. Avoid common mistakes. Fasting too often or too long initially, not eating enough nutritious food during your eating windows, using fasting as an excuse to justify poor food choices later, ignoring uncomfortable symptoms, or constantly comparing your progress to others. Planning your meals and your fasts is really crucial for success. And again, medical monitoring is important for certain conditions, as Dr. Jason Fung highlights repeatedly.
That is incredibly practical and really empowering advice. Thank you. It makes it clear that fasting isn't just something you do, it's almost a skill that improves with consistent practice. And patience and self-compassion seem absolute key throughout that journey. Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's look beyond the horizon for a moment. Where is fasting research actually going? What cutting-edge discoveries might be on the horizon for us?
Oh, the field is just exploding right now. It's incredibly exciting. Researchers like Dr. David Sinclair are investigating how fasting affects epigenetic clocks, these measures of our biological age. Preliminary results suggest it might slow, or maybe even reverse, some markers of aging at that fundamental level. Nutrigenomics is another huge area understanding precisely how fasting affects the expression of hundreds of genes related to longevity, building on work by Dr. Luigi Fontana and others. Personalized protocols are definitely the future. Imagine fasting recommendations tailored precisely to your specific genetics, your metabolism, maybe even your gut microbiome. This builds on pioneering work by researchers like Dr. Enan Segal on how individuals respond differently to the same foods. We're also studying in much greater detail how fasting impacts the gut microbiome itself and that fascinating gut-brain axis explored by people like Dr. Emmer Mayer. There's research into fasting mimetics compounds that might trigger some fasting effects without actual food restriction. Still largely experimental, though.
Pills that mimic fasting.
Potentially, or specific nutrients. But the complexity of fasting is hard to replicate. Combination therapies are also being explored, integrating fasting with specific types of exercise, specific diets, or other longevity interventions for potentially synergistic benefits. That's a focus of Dr. Walter Longo's research. Dr. Sachin Panda's ongoing work aims to identify even more precise timing optimizations for different populations. The application to specific diseases is expanding rapidly. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cardiovascular disease, cancer, autoimmune conditions. Dr. Mark Mattson, for instance, remains very focused on the potential benefits for neurodegenerative diseases. Technology is playing a massive role. CGMs, wearables, AI, and machine learning analyzing data to help monitor and optimize protocols, like Dr. Morgan Levine's work on biological age clocks. More tailored research specifically for women's health is ongoing and desperately needed, as emphasized by Dr. Stephanie Estima. The anti-cancer affects the idea that fasting might make cancer cells more vulnerable to treatments while protecting healthy cells. That's a major research area for Dr. Walter Longo. Crucially, we need more robust long-term safety studies, as Dr. Luigi Fontana rightly points out. And the concept of medicalizing fasting, actually prescribing specific protocols as medicine, is gaining significant traction, with people like Dr. Jason Fung really at the forefront of that. Finally, what's really exciting is the potential for the democratization of longevity. Unlike many expensive interventions, strategic fasting, when done appropriately, is accessible to most people regardless of their economic status. And the ultimate goal, always, remains extending health span, our healthy, functional years, not just lifespan.
It is absolutely clear the science is evolving incredibly rapidly, and the potential it holds for your future health, your vitality. It's truly immense. So this deep dive has really shown us that fasting, when it's thoughtfully integrated into a comprehensive strategy, can be a powerful and remarkably accessible tool for healthy aging. It profoundly influences multiple aging pathways: cellular, metabolic, hormonal, immune, and even cognitive levels.
Yeah, but it's so important to reaffirm it's not a magic bullet on its own. It seems to be most effective when it's combined with other foundational healthy lifestyle practices. Things like prioritizing nutrient-dense, whole foods during your eating windows, engaging in regular physical activity that you enjoy, managing stress effectively, ensuring quality sleep, and nurturing strong social connections. And remember, the optimal implementation varies significantly between individuals. Personalization and consistency are absolutely key.
Right. So if you're considering exploring this, the advice seems clear. Start moderately. A simple 12 or 14-hour time-restricted eating window is an excellent, safe starting point for most people. Pay close attention to your body's signals. Prioritize quality, whole foods when you do eat. Maintain your other healthy habits. And be patient, especially during that initial adaptation phase. This isn't about stopping aging entirely, of course, but rather optimizing your body's incredible natural systems, helping you reduce disease risk and maintain vitality for many more vibrant years.
And as we emphasize strongly, always remember those safety considerations we discussed. Fasting isn't appropriate for everyone, and for certain conditions, consulting with knowledgeable healthcare professionals is absolutely essential before starting. This holistic approach helps ensure that fasting, if it's right for you, becomes a powerful part of aging gracefully and powerfully.
The truly cutting-edge research on fasting and aging reminds us, I think, that we possess more profound control over our aging process than we might often realize. Fasting, when implemented thoughtfully and appropriately for you, may very well help you achieve these goals, potentially adding years to your life, and, perhaps even more importantly, adding life to your years. We really hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and empowered you to make truly informed choices for your own vibrant future.